One of the things a lot of businesses say to me when they want to work in the cloud and do AI is they think AWS or Azure is too expensive. So what I decided to do is create a video series called Your AI Journey on AWS, and I'm going to start showing you how you can start out cheap, low cost in AWS with the AI chatbot, and then eventually grow your business. As your business grows, you can grow in AWS. So let's jump in. Okay, so first what I want to do is just show you my website. So basically what I have here is I have my website, and you can see it's a WordPress website. I'm already logged into it, but I want to show you the chatbot that I have set up here, and I will go into the plugin that we use that we created for this as well. But basically what I want to do is to schedule a call. Schedule a call is basically go into my Calendly link, and that's where this link comes from. And then right here, you can just go into a simple setup where we can just say, let's say, tell me about your services. Okay, and so what it's doing now, it's going to turn on a Lambda function in AWS, and then it's going to kind of get back here. And what I want is I want the Calendly link to show up in every single comment for the most part, so that because that's kind of the idea. Now you can do anything from here on. You can, this is HTML in a way, so you can add certain things. You can add it's really endless, but once again, I wanted to keep this as simple as possible, and so that's what we did right here. So you can also ask anything. One thing I wanted to talk about is I didn't add memory in this because I wanted to kind of keep it simple. So I could say, what did I just say? And it will not know, right? Because I do not have memory set up in this. Once again, just keeping it simple. And so this is kind of its reply. If it doesn't know how to answer, this is the reply back. Okay, so let's just take a look at the setup now. Okay, I just want to show you a quick diagram of what we have here. So here's our WordPress site and then the chatbot. And basically what we have here is we have three services in AWS. We have the API gateway, which is kind of the front door to the whole thing. Securely receives an HTTP request from the chatbot and then sends it to the Lambda. And you can see that the Lambda, I have Lambda inside the AWS cloud. Since the API is kind of like on the border, it's at the front door, it lets in that traffic. And then the only traffic that Lambda will get is from the API gateway. And so then the Lambda API gateway is a serverless compute, right? So it's only on when it's being asked. So as soon as I ask a question, it goes here, it turns on the Lambda. The Lambda then will get started. It looks at what the question is. And then basically what it does from there, it'll get the secrets manager, which is of course the API keys and everything it needs. Once it has the API keys, then it'll go to the OpenAI API to get to embed the question, and then it goes back to the Lambda function. And then what it does next is it goes to Pinecone, and it'll get the Pinecone, which is a RAG database, and it'll get that information that I have stored there. And basically what I have there, which I'll show you here in a little bit, is basically a knowledge base that I created for Digital 6. And then I also have it scraped my website, so that information's in there as well. And then once it does that, then it sends the information back, and then of course back to OpenAPI to fix what it needs. The Lambda then will check to make sure that I have some other things I'll show you in the code that it checks to see, does the person want to have set up a meeting or anything like that? If it does, it'll add a link to it. Then it sends it back to the OpenAPI. This is just really the main things here. Like I said, I'm only using three services in AWS. And of course, I'll talk more about the Pinecone and the free tier and so on. But this is basically how this works.
Hi, my name is Dave Froz, and I'm an AI cloud consultant. I've been working in the cloud for over 15 years and have a great team that works with me on all sorts of web and AI development. So if you're looking for AI consulting, training, or development, cloud architecture, or security, or you just want to start your AI journey in the cloud, then click on my link below and schedule a time to talk with me. Okay, back to the video.
Okay, let's start off with the API gateway. So here we have the API gateway right here, and it's connected to the WordPress and Lambda function. So let's go ahead and go into AWS and take a look at that. And so what we have here is we have the API gateway right here, and then here's your list of APIs, and then here's the one that I set up right here. And you can see here we have, if we could check out our posts, we can see here that we have the method requests, the integration request, going to that Lambda, and then back to the client or the WordPress website. And then what we do is we look at the stages, and you can set up several stages, a test stage and so on in production. I just went right to the production, but of course you know how you want to set your stages is up to you. You probably should have different stages. But what I wanted to show you was the invoke URL. So this is the invoke URL. This is what you would use to send to the information to the API gateway from WordPress. So let me go into WordPress right here. I'm logged into WordPress right now. I've got my plugin that we built, and I just wanted to show you here is where I put the API URL, right? So I put that right here, and this is what it uses to send the information. So it's pretty simple, and we have that right here. You can also get, if you want to look at more information, you can actually go to the API gateway, and you can see here that you can we're sending a GET to that, and so here it is here, and then you can do the post as well, depending on what you're trying to do. So this is where you can find the information, but it's pretty simple. And there's definitely a lot more you can do here. If you go back to your APIs, and then you can go, you can look at different ways to set this up. You can set up APIs. You can make this more secure. You can set up certain domains that can use this. There's all sorts of things that you can set up for security. The API keys, if you add an API key in here, and then if you do that, once you add it here, then you can actually put in some sort of chat quota in there. So you can send, let's say, 20 requests. You can have 10 requests per second. You can do it per usage, per day, whatever you want. So this would be a good way to kind of monitor and keep the costs down as well. So that just shows you everything here in the API gateway. And so next we'll take a look at, let's look at the secrets manager next. So we'll go into here into secrets manager and take a look. Okay, so here we are in the AWS Secrets Manager. And I'll go ahead and click on Secrets here, and you can see here that I have my chat agent secrets right here, and I'll go ahead and click into that. And this basically shows you everything you have here. It even shows you how to, if you're using Python, how to add that in here. And keep in mind, I have chat agent secrets. This is kind of what my name of it is, or I'll show you in the Lambda function where I use this. And then of course, AWS is very big in the regions, so you want to make sure you have that in there as well. So this is here. And then once again, you just have, this is just kind of like your .env file that you would have if you're using like VS Code or something like that. You can click on that right here, and you can see here that my Pinecone API keys, which I'll change all this stuff here, but at least you have an idea of what we have here. And of course, so this is all secret. There is a cost in here, which I'll talk about, but it's a very minimal cost. It's basically used on usage, right? So, so that's really all there is to the secrets key. Okay, so now that we have the secrets key, let's just go ahead and go into the Lambda function, and and we'll go ahead and go here. Okay, now I'm in the Lambda dashboard in AWS, and now I'll look here, I'll have one Lambda function, so we'll go ahead and click on that, and I called it just the D6 loader, and this is basically shows you what is in the Lambda function here. And so what you have here is you have your code you can test. But let's just take a look at the code here real quick. Like I said, I'm not going to go over in detail the Python. This is not a Python course, but I'll just kind of show you basically what I did here. And so what we have here is we have just real simple. We have the the JSON, the Boto3, which you have to have for AWS, and then here is your URL lib library, and this is just to get API calls to the OpenAI API and to Pinecone. So that's what we have here. And then your sockets for any kind of timeout errors and logging and so on. So this is basically it. You can see here that I'm calling my secrets manager in the secrets manager. And so this is where everything you have here. This is just your standard Python layout. And then as you scroll down, you can see it's in here. We're caching it, so it only calls it once now, so we don't have to call it over and over again every time we do a call. And then you can see here that when I'm trying to get a hold of Pinecone, the database here. And this is pretty much, just like I said, your simple database. I just want to show some things here in here's my API embeddings. But what I wanted to show you is just here is that what I put in here is this is my approach. There's definitely different ways of doing this. I'm looking for intent. So anybody who says I wanted to discuss or I'd like to talk to somebody or whatever, it'll automatically set up, hey, would you like to set up a meeting and so on. So that's basically how that goes there. And then here's my prompt. Very simple prompt. You can set up your own, but this is basically what it has. Once again, I'm really looking at trying to get that link in there. And so that's what I do here. And also, as I mentioned, there is no other LangChain or anything else. Now, if you want to do that, here I'll just show you. Let me go back to the top part here. And if you want to do that, what you would do is you would set up the layer. So basically, this is kind of like your requirements.txt file. That would be something here. What you do is you put your libraries in there, and then you would zip them up, and then you put them right here in your layers. And so that's a whole nother way of doing it. But I didn't. Once again, I wanted to keep this as easy as possible and functional. So this is why I didn't do that. But this is, you can see all that right here. Now the nice thing about this is that in the Lambda function is the next step that you can do is you can of course test it, right? And this can be done right here. You can send something here if you want when you test it, or you can also do a CloudWatch trail, right? So you can also put that in here. There's a, let's see what I have. So you can put that in here. We can also watch it go live, and then we can also watch it in CloudWatch. Okay, so I wanted to show you, so we can watch it live, but before we do that, I just wanted to show you how we can go to, this is CloudWatch, I went to CloudWatch, and then you go to log groups, and then we can go here to the D6 loader, and then here you can see a log of all of the chats we've had before. So we had this chat right before this that I showed you, and you can see that's right in here. And so you can see, here's my last one, what did I just say? And then it shows you everything in here. So this is great for monitoring. You know, there's other open source tools out there to do. There's other paid tools to do that, but see, that's already built in when you're using a chatbot here. The only cost that you would have for this is, of course, it's just for storing the data. Now, if you go back into here, and then we go CloudWatch Live, what you could do is you can click on that, and then what it'll do here is that you can hit start right here, and then it's going to start monitoring, right? So then if we go back to here, and let's say we go something like, do you do AI chatbots? So we can put that in here, and then we'll go back into here, and let's see here. You can see back in here, and this is live, so you can kind of watch it as it happens, and you can see it's generating that right here, and you can see, let's see, where's it at? Do you do AI chatbots? Here's my response right here. And then it's kind of showing you everything that it's doing in here. And then it actually gives you the question, the answer, and so on. So that's all being logged. It's all doing live. And then you can stop it here. So this is why if you want to test it, like maybe on another screen or something like that, you can do all that right here. And once again, this is all built into the AWS environment. So there's no point in really using any other kind of open source. It's all right there. And then once again, that will go into here. If you want to test if there's any errors, this is a good place to look. Okay, so that wraps up the three services that we have: the API gateway, the secrets manager, and then of course the Lambda function right here. Okay, so now I want to show you how I put the data into Pinecone, right? So, in order to keep the costs down, I put the knowledge base into Pinecone, which I've already discussed. And then I basically did this just using VS Code on my local PC. So I used two different types files here, two different processes. One was the PDF processor, right? So the PDF processor is basically using the I'll just show you up here, the PyPDF2. So that was pretty much what I used here. And I put you can see here I have it on my hard drive. I could have put it in an S3 bucket if I wanted to. That would probably be a very minimal cost, but I did that. And then you can see here I have my OpenAI keys, and basically just did a chunk size that I had the I think it was Claude look at this and see what it recommended, and then we just kind of went through here and put all this in here, and you can just see it's just simple breaking it down with chunking. I think the embedding I used, the OpenAPI as well. And let's see, we have here, and definitely, did a lot of error coding to make sure everything works correctly, and then just ran it. So pretty simple, nothing really major here, but this is definitely a free way of doing this. And like I talked about before, you could set it up to where if a user uploads a PDF document or any kind of document into S3, you can trigger an event in Amazon. In AWS to actually trigger, and then you can actually put this. This could be a Lambda function in AWS. So, then I wanted to scrape my website. And so what I did is I used Beautiful Soup. There's plenty of other ways to do this in Python, but I used Beautiful Soup, pretty easy, simple to do. And I just put that in there. Once again, the API keys are in there. Usual stuff about, scraping the website, removing things in there as well. And what I did on this one is I just I put in a maximum pages of 10, just to get it going. But you could set this up. I also took out the blog in there as well. So, because I didn't want to do the blog, because the reason why I don't do the blog is because I have a lot of vendors that post on my website, and I just didn't want to, of course, have that as information. So I did not put the blog in there. But you could do whatever you wanted as well. But anyway, this is kind of shows you how we did that, and so you can kind of see how that works. And then once I got it set up, then, this is kind of off the subject here, but let's look at, I did a test Pinecone. I just wanted to test my connection, so we could just, we could easily just run this real quick and to see what kind of comes back. I just want to make sure. And of course it didn't work the first time when I did this, but kind of gives you everything you need right here. Kind of gives you a little bit in here, and what's in here, the metadata, which we are sending as well, the timestamp. So just to show that it is working. And then once I did that, what I wanted to do before I went and tested it in the Lambda, I did connect it there, but I also then, this would just give me the same response. This is connecting to the Lambda function. I just wanted to check to see if it was working there, and really just checking the API gateway, making sure I had there. And then the next one was I just did the chatbot Streamlit to see here, and I'll just run that real quick as well. Let's see, I think I can put it in there. Let's make sure. Oops, there we go. So let's just run that real quick. And so that comes in here. Let me just bring that over here. And then I did some debugging in here as well, but you can see, same thing. Put it right here. We'll put that in here. And this is kind of, this is more debugging here, and then kind of gives you the same thing. So this is just a real quick way. Use Streamlit with Python. I use this all the time before I do something. I tell you, it's very easy to set up, especially if you're using any kind of AI to help you build with Python. Building a Streamlit to test something takes about less than 5 minutes to do. So definitely recommend that. Okay, so there you have it. So this basically what I did to set up. Like I said, you can put this into, these could definitely be Lambda. You can actually put these together and be a Lambda function. So whenever something goes in there, one of the, probably what I'll end up doing is when I put this into AWS, I'll put it into S3, put something into S3, and then I'll trigger it to embed it and chunk it and send it to Pinecone or whatever database, vector database I'm using. And then what I'll probably do also is just have it scrape the website as well, just to make sure if there's anything new. So like if you are, if you do want to scrape your blog, then that would be a perfect opportunity maybe to scrape it once a week. You could also set up a Lambda function to automatically scrape your website once a week as well. Okay, so what I want to do real quick is just look at the costs. What would be the costs just starting out with this? And so here's how I kind of did a breakdown, and I'm trying to be as conservative as I can on this, but let's look at the API gateway. So first of all, the API gateway, you get 1 million HTTP API calls per month free for the first 12 months. After that, it's incredibly cheap, around $1 per 1 million calls. So starting out, I'm going to put $1, but I don't even know if we'll get that high. Okay. So moving on to Lambda, you get a perpetual free tier of 1 million requests and 400,000 gigabyte per seconds of compute time per month. So our function, right, that we're using right now, just after testing it for a few weeks, uses 80, probably less than 80 megabytes, and runs in just a few seconds. So if you're just starting out, you get low to moderate traffic, the Lambda costs will likely be 0 or pretty dang close to it. So I put 0. If you want to put $1, you can put $1 there. The secrets manager, it really costs pennies per secret per month, plus a tiny charge per 10,000 API calls. And so when I first set this up, I didn't cache the API, the calls to secret manager. So every time you asked a question, it went back. And so I think it was hitting it quite a bit. And I was at $2 per month, right? But now I changed it. I cached it, so now it only calls it once per session, and so the costs have gone down a little bit more. But I'm going to put $2 just for the heck of it, right? And then so for Pinecone, you get one index, one project in your free tier. You could do the same thing with Supabase, has the same kind of similar free tier, and you can get that for $0, right? And then the Open API, I put down that it was, the GPT 4.0, and that's usually what I start out with. But I'm using, I believe it's the 4.0 mini, but I think they're going to get rid of that. So I think I switched it to the 4.1 mini. And let's just look. I think I brought up those costs here. Let's just take a look at those real quick. Yeah. So here we go. So you got you're here looking at $2, right, for input, $8 for output, right? So, but you look at the mini. I mean, the mini is just fractions of the cost. And for a very simple chatbot that like I've set up, the mini works fine, right? You really don't, it's a one PDF knowledge base. It's 10, 15, 20 pages of a website. So you'll be just fine with that. So there's your cost there. So what I put down then is I put down what, $5. That's such a high cost. I would say maybe $1, right? So I have $8 here, but if you subtracted, $4 from this, you're looking at your total cost of $4. And that's really for the first year. Now, if your traffic you get more traffic, you're still looking, at a million calls. So this is definitely a very inexpensive way to start out in AWS.
So the question I get a lot is why AI instead of just external APIs, open source or no code tools like VoiceFlow, N8N, Make, or Zapier? Well, N8N, Zapier, VoiceFlow, and all those no-code, low-code tools are great for quick starts, simple tasks, but the platforms can change. It might cause errors. They can really hinder the growth of any specific features you might need. The key AWS advantages gives you more control and power. You can build exactly what you need, no limits. You can grow smoothly, tune performance where it matters. You can keep data in your secure AWS cloud, VPC, use IAM, KMS. You can meet tough standards like HIPAA, SOC 2. You pay only for what you use. More tools to optimize costs as you grow versus fixed platform subscriptions like N8N or Make or so on. You have access to 200 plus AWS services. You avoid getting locked into one platform. You can also start with chatbots, grow to custom models, full machine learning operations with tools like SageMaker. You also have access to top models like Claude, Llama, Titan through one AWS API. You can also use standard settings like temperature, max tokens for many models, change models within minimal code changes as well. Let's take a quick look at this in Bedrock.
Okay, so right now I am in the AWS Amazon Bedrock, right? And this is their, like, all their models that they have right now. And you can see here that there's quite a few in here. You have Llama, Claude, and any other Nova that they have. And so you have all this in here. And of course you can go in here and look, this is always growing. And so you can kind of see, once again, there's no OpenAI in here, but at least you can see what you have, what you can use, and you can really break it down to any kind of things that you want. And you can also test all of your AI assistants or chatbots in here. You can set up a chat, you can set up playgrounds, you can set up agents, you can put your knowledge base in here and so on. So I'll do this in another video, so I won't go into detail here. But when you're trying different ones, the nice thing about this is what I mentioned here about the Converse API is this. So what you have is you have your invoke model, right? And let's see, we have it on Python. Yep, you have it on Python. And you can see here that in Python, you have your max token and your temperature. And this is for the Amazon Titan text, right? And then if you go into, let's see, I think I have the Meta Llama. So if you go here to the invoke model, you can see here that they have max gen lang. So max gen is what they call it here. And here it's max token count. So you'd have to update this for every time you change the models out, right? So what we have here is we have the Converse API. The Converse API for Titan then is now, it changes, and you can use, you can go in here and just use the temperature So they have here, you have your max tokens, temperature, and top P right here. And then when you go to, if you go to Meta and you go to there, you can see here that it's the exact same thing. So you have your max tokens. So let's just take a look here. We got here, and we can just put that right in there. So these are exact same ones. And you can see here, same ones. So now all you have to do is change out the model ID here. So you can change that to Titan, then you can go and change the top part to your Meta, and that's all you need to change. And these can stay the same. So you don't have to go through and change all that. So really makes it a lot easier when you're trying to change out the different models and try different ones. And of course you can try those in either these languages as well, other than Python. Okay, so in my next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grow this chatbot and start adding more services. So let's take a look right here on what we can do. So now we have Pinecone and we have the OpenAPI. So what we're going to start doing now is, let me move me over here. Let's put me over here. And so what we'll do now is we'll shrink here and we're going to start adding more of these services right here. These are all the AWS services, and we'll start adding these as we go. So now instead of adding, we'll get rid of the, let's just say the Pinecone, right? So let's bring this down actually a little bit more right here. So let's go get rid of the Pinecone. So we'll delete that. So now we've deleted that and replace that with, we could do like an Aurora Postgres in here. We could put that in here instead. And so now it's using that. We can also put a DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL kind of database. We can put that in here as well. Now we'll get rid of the OpenAPI in here. So that external API, and then we can start using Bedrock. So we have Bedrock in here, and then we can use machine learning if we want machine learning in here. And then we have identity management, which is AWS IAM. So now we can put this, we can add this service in here as well. This will control who can use this or who has access to it. What we can do is we can put, let's say our knowledge base, let's say we're uploading PDFs all the time, and we can put these in an S3 bucket, which will store any kind of document. We can put that in here as well. Once that's put in here, then we can put an event bridge right here. An event bridge is really just kind of kicks off an event, right? And so our event then would be to, let's go ahead and put this here, our event here. So once they say a document is put into here, then it goes, we'll kick off this event bridge right here. And this event bridge will click off, doesn't have to be, we can build up another, let's just say we can do another Lambda function. Let's just say that. So we just go here, do another Lambda function, and that Lambda function then would kick off the whole embedding process. And then we can go back up here, we can embed, we can use a Bedrock LM for embedding. And then we can take, once it does that, then we can store that in the Postgres as a vector database. We have that. And then of course, then this will give access to this instead now to get the information, right? So then we have that. And then of course, then we'll also add our CloudWatch, which we already have in there, but the CloudWatch will be in there. CloudTrail just kind of really keeps track of all the different API calls. And then we can also encrypt any of this information. We can encrypt the information in the S3 bucket. This is called the Key Management Service, KMS. And then we can use Kendra as well for bigger databases, which is kind of an index. It's AWS's kind of index servicing, which helps you look up stuff as well. The main point I want to show though, with moving everything in here, is that this, as you can see, everything is inside the AWS environment. So now there's no external APIs being used in this at all. The only external API is from this WordPress source here. And of course, you can also make this to where this API gateway will only allow traffic from a certain API, or certain IP, or whatever that may be, or certain domain. So you can set that up here and have that as well. But everything is internal. So that means now that the Lambda calls to a database are now going to go to the endpoint. And we can set this up to where the Postgres Aurora will only accept traffic from the Lambda, right? So these are endpoints, so everything's internal. And so now you can set up security. You can put security in here to watch everything, to monitor. If you have to meet HIPAA compliance, it can easily be monitored inside the AWS environment. So that's one of the big advantages as well that I mentioned already, of why you want to have everything inside of AWS. So this is what I'll be working on in my next video. We'll slowly grow this chatbot into something a lot larger. We'll start put in more functions, more functionality, and we'll just watch this thing grow. It should be a fun video series to watch.
So if you like what I put together in this video, then be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel to keep up with future videos. If you want to see any type of video on AWS or AI, be sure to leave a comment below. If you want to know how I can help you in your business, then check out my website at digital6.tech, or you can scroll down to the description and check out my link there and schedule a time with me. Thanks.